Ladies and gentlemen, this is Armed Diver. I am going to talk about the good, the bad, and the changed of my particular Sig MCX 300 Blackout carbine. I am going to tell you about the parts I changed and why I changed them, and about a couple other issues that I have with this particular gun. And we are going to start with the muzzle end of the weapon. I changed out the original muzzle flash suppressor, which is this one right here. This is the one that comes on the weapon. And I changed it out for the Surefire SFMB 762 by 5/8 by 24 muzzle brake. And the reason why I changed it out was twofold. I am new to the AR platform. I am new to these type of weapons. This has become a new hobby for me since I can't scuba dive anymore. And I'm a big YouTube fan. So just about anything I know these days about guns comes from YouTube. Anyway, that was a long story to get around what I'm talking about. This particular muzzle brake I bought primarily because it will fit the Surefire SOCOM Mini flash suppressor with a quick release, which is on order. Form 3 has been filled out. It's actually supposedly been transferred to the local gun shop here. I bought it from Silencer Shop. Got to give them credit for it. But it'll probably be September or October before I see it, and I ordered it in February. But anyway, that's the primary reason why I got the Surefire. Now, why did I buy a muzzle brake over a flash suppressor? Because I was under the impression, based on what I had been told and what I researched on YouTube, that a muzzle brake would significantly reduce the recoil. Yeah, not so much. And I really think it's more because of the caliber I'm trying to suppress than anything else. I fired 350 rounds through this, bench rested on a bipod with the flash suppressor, and did not notice a lot of significant recoil. I put the muzzle brake on, and I can't honestly tell the difference. I put 150 rounds through it after I put the muzzle brake on it, and I truly did not notice that much of a difference in the recoil on the weapon. Now, that's the number one thing I'm going to talk about this end. Surefire has a really good video about putting suppressors or about putting muzzle brakes or flash suppressors on their weapons. I recommend you go to Surefire and see what they have to say, and follow their instructions if you're going to put one of these on a gun. Now, with all that said, some things you need to know. You will notice right here, this piece here. This is called a taper cap. You get this from Surefire, or I'm sorry, you get this from Sig Sauer, and there it is. It's from Sig Sauer. This one's a taper cap 762. You get the taper cap also in 5.56. It's $8. You call them up, you tell them what you want, and they'll ship it to you. Why did I buy two of them? For $8. I thought I could use one for demonstration purposes. One of the things that you really need to make sure about when you, if you're going to do this yourself, you need a really good vise, and one that's not going to mar your barrel, one that's going to hold it tight, and you're really going to need a lot of energy to torque this down, or to torque off the flash suppressor. It is on there, and I mean it is really on there. Again, follow Surefire's instructions when you go and see their video. You'll notice right here, these are compression rings, or whatever you want to call them here. They'll tell you what they are, but you need specific sizes. There's a tuning it needs to be tuned correctly so that you get it on there correctly. I highly recommend that you follow their instructions. This needs to be put on at 20 to 25 foot-pounds. Again, I followed their instructions to the letter. Putting this on was a whole lot easier than getting off the other one. I was scared to death I was going to damage the gun trying to get the other one off. That's how tough it was to get off that gun. That's this end. Taper cap, Surefire muzzle brake, my particular choice. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move back here, and I'm going to talk about the piston on this gun because it is adjustable. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is if you know anything about the gun at all, it is a gas piston gun, not a gas impingement gun. The difference between these are that this has a short stroke piston. Gas comes up, pushes the piston back, which drives the bolt to the rear. I'm not going to go through all the internal parts of this because there are more than enough videos out there to show you that part of it. This here is where the pin, you use something pointy, something pointy. The end of a bullet or something to push it down if you want to change or regulate. And here is the other one over here. If you want something to regulate your gas, there you go, see it? Mine is on the positive side. It's pushed down because I'm not suppressed. And that is an important area of the gun that I will show you right after I get done this particular segment of this video. I will insert the part where I clean that, and then we'll continue on with the rest of this video. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is Armed Diver again. I want to talk about two pieces. Actually, these two pieces right here. This is your piston for the gas piston operation, for the gas piston of this MCX carbine. Let's see if we can do something here. I want to see if we can get down in there so you can see down in here. Let's telephoto in. Okay. Right here is a detent thing. This has to be pushed down. Anyway, the piston goes in here, and this goes over the top of it. Okay, it actually has to go in upside down. I'm going to back up a bit. Now, if you've seen any of the videos, you'll notice on this piece here, you have right here, you've got, they say use a bullet, okay, to press down on this. If you push it down towards the right, it is supposed to be set for the unsuppressed side. If you push it down towards the left like this, it's supposed to be for suppressed. Okay, now here's the story of this. I have put, this is a new gun, brand new gun, I have put exactly 150 rounds through it. There was no, to get this, this was pressed, this was down on the unsuppressed side. You're only supposed to have to push this down one way, just push it. Ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't push. It would not push. I had to use, and I'll show you what I used. Put this down over here where you can see it. This is my mutt. It's actually an EOD mutt. I had to physically push this into it and then tap it until I could get it to go back and forth. It was seriously, for the lack of a better way of putting it, built up with quite a bit of carbon. And it only had 150 rounds. This and the piston were both completely dry in there. Now, I have no idea if that's the way they Sig wants it or what. This is pretty free floating, not a big deal. I mean, you know, obviously it's going to get carboned up because it's getting gas from the barrel and the whole 9 yards. But I could not believe how difficult this was to take out. And that's why I'm making a video. I'm going to put it back together again after I clean it. And I am probably going to, I don't know, I'll put a little bit of the CLP on it because I can't believe it's supposed to be as difficult as it was to move. So I'm going to clean that all out in the whole 9 yards. But I just wanted to let everybody know, when this is in, it's like this is the right side up. And what you have is you push that little pin that I showed you there, and you have to basically turn this upside down. Then what you're going to have to do is basically work it back and forth, pulling or knocking, tapping this edge a little bit until it finally comes out, if you haven't tried it once. My personal recommendation, if you haven't fired the gun and it's brand new, put a little CLP back down in here to make it so it isn't quite so difficult to work. This little pin right here will keep it from coming out. Don't worry about it. You might have to watch it to make sure that to make sure that, it stays on whatever side you want it to stay on. But I'm telling you what, I'm putting a little CLP in there because I'm not going to go through that every time I have to clean it. It was a major pain. So, more later. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I just got done cleaning the bore area and the gas piston on this MCX. This is the second half of a video just about this piece. Now that it's been cleaned, completely cleaned, this is the way you get this off of there. Now let me pull in the camera so we can take a little bit better look. Okay. Right here is a little pin that has to be little holder pin that has to be pushed down. And then after you push that down, you have to push this past it. So once you get it past it, then you can turn this. I'm still pushing. You have to push it a little bit further. And once it's actually basically not quite upside down, because if you go directly upside down, it doesn't come out. But now you can, with it in the position it's in, you can get the cap off here, like so. Okay, and that's how that comes out, caps out. And then all you got to do is just drop the piston out. That's all there is to it. Now I'm going to put the thing back together again here. Piston goes in. This goes in upside down, not quite at 180 degrees, upside down. And if you get it in there just the way it's supposed to be, like so, it will drop down. Once it's where it needs to be, you got to work it a little bit to get it in the right position. I don't want to go off camera. Okay, I'm going to turn off the camera for a minute because I want to get it set down in there. You don't need to watch me wiggle it all that time. As soon as I put the gun up, it fell in. But now that it's down here, okay, now all you got to do, once it's up against that, is rotate it back around in a clockwise fashion, like so. Hold. That's locking it in. I actually use two tools here. One is this screwdriver piece here so that I can get it up under, hold the pin down, and push it around. Once it gets past that pin, there, it's good to go. Now it's currently in the suppress mode, but since I don't have a suppressor on it yet, I will push this down for unsuppressed. Now, the whole story is it took a lot to get that out after firing only 150 rounds. It was really stuck in there, and it took a lot of back and forth to get it going. I put a little bit of CLP, Safariland CLP, on it so that it will work, but I'm telling you what, that thing will, I mean, it will definitely gum up with carbon pretty quickly. So I highly recommend, whatever direction you're pushing it in or you plan on using it, that you plan on cleaning that pretty frequently every time you clean the rest of the gun. More later. One of the things about this particular gun that is absolutely horrific, and I don't know any other way of putting it, is the trigger. The trigger on this gun I actually had measured by a gunsmith, because I don't have a trigger weight or a trigger measurer, or whatever you want to call it. I got the gunsmith up at the local range here to test the trigger pull on it, and it averaged through 5 pulls approximately 10.5 pounds. Now, I have old fingers that are arthritic, and they're long, and this particular gun is used to kill paper. I am not a hunter. I am not a special ops guy. I don't do 3-gun competitions. I just like to kill paper. And as a result of that, this is normally fired from a bench, on a range, off a bipod. And I'm trying to shoot it as accurately as I can. A 10.5 pound trigger didn't work. Again, I thought it was absolutely horrific. I don't know why in the world Sig put such a heavy trigger in this gun. But what I traded it out for was a Geisley. Let me see if I can pull this up here for you. I traded it out for a Geisley Super Semi-Automatic Enhanced. I really like this trigger. It is 3.5 pound pull. That's the full pull. It's actually supposed to be a 2-stage trigger, something around the lines of 2.5 to 1.5, but you know, the full pull is about 3.5. And this is an excellent trigger for this gun. Now, you'll notice there's a little feature on here. Right here. I had to change out the trigger pin on this gun when I put in the Geisley, and the reason why I had to do that was because of the fact that the trigger pin for the Geisley kept walking out this side. Why? Well, the way a trigger pin is held in is that the retention spring, or the leg of the retention spring for the hammer, sits in a little groove. And you know, if it's in the groove correctly, it'll hold the pin in. The problem is that the hammer pin didn't quite go into the groove when on this gun. I don't know whether the trigger's just a little bit forward or what, but the hammer pin spring did not go into it, or the hammer spring did not go into, leg did not go into it the way it needed to, so that it walked out this side. So I went out and did some research on YouTube, of course, and I got this trigger pin set from K&S Precision Inc. And it's a great, this is, I think it's aluminum. It's not steel. I'm pretty sure it's aluminum because it goes down. But it comes with a pin. It comes with a pin that you obviously use hex nuts to, not hex nuts, Phillips head screws to put in. The the hammer pin on this end is grooved and goes into a little slot on this end of the gun, or on this end of this little bar piece. And it's the same on both sides. Now, give me a second and I got to show you the other side of the gun, because we have to talk about something when you're putting this particular piece on this gun. Okay, now we're on the other side of the gun. What you have to note is that right here, because of the way it fits in here, this is not your standard, you know, receiver. For the most part, it's very much like a standard lower receiver for an AR-15, but not quite. To get this to fit in here correctly, you're going to have to use a Dremel tool to, you know, basically, you know, hone it in or shape it or fit it so that it will lay, so this piece here will lay flat and it will go in over the top of that pin there. That is a little bit of an adjustment that I had to do to make this thing fit here. But I'm telling you, I am a huge fan of these K&S Precision trigger pin sets. I'm a huge fan of the Geisley trigger. It works like a champ, and I've been very, very, very pleased with the Geisley trigger. Now, let's march on down. We'll talk about, as we go down the weapon, let's talk about bipods. We'll go back up to the front of the gun. Okay, we're back at the front of the gun. If you haven't been to a channel called Nut and Fancy, I highly recommend you do it. He can be quite entertaining, and he can be quite informative. His videos are long, but there's normally something in them that are good, depending on what it is you're looking for. One of the things that he has is, he has a video, and I don't know what the name of it is offhand, but in that video, one of the things he talks about is POU. What does POU stand for? Well, philosophy of use. That's what POU is. And with what you do with POU is, you set your gun up for how you intend to use it. And the whole point of his video is that people hang too much junk off of their ARs. You've got a light weapon, it's an assault weapon, it's supposed to be used for close quarter combat, or, you know, a basic, you know, infantry type weapon. And you shouldn't put anything on it you don't really need to use. I actually paid attention to what he said in there. And because what is the philosophy of use for this particular gun? Well, I'm not special operations, never was. Yes, I still work for the Army. I've been with the Army for 40 years. Joined in 1975. No, I'm not still on active duty, for God's sakes. But the point I'm trying to make here is, what is my philosophy of use? What is Armed Diver's philosophy of use for this gun? Well, I'm a recreational shooter. I'm a hobbyist, for the lack of a better way of putting it. And this gun is to be used to kill paper. I want to kill paper as accurately as possible at the longest distance possible for this particular round, and hopefully as quietly as possible as soon as I get my suppressor for it. With that being the case, that's why it's got a bipod. Now, why did I go with this particular bipod? Well, I went out and I did a little bit of research, and I wanted something that was light and something that was supposed to be relatively good quality. And I came up with this. It is an Atlas BT-10. It's not the most expensive one they've got. It's not the best, but it works. Some of the things about it, the legs are fully adjustable. You pull down on the ring, and as you can see, you can move it up and down. They're very light. This is a very light bipod. You can move the legs, as I'm doing here, as the gun falls down. The gun fell down, sorry. It's kind of hard to do something when you got only two hands. You know, being an octopus sometimes might be handy, but pretty ugly. Anyway, it's a good bipod. I don't have anything to compare it to because, like I said, I'm new to being a shooter. I'm new to this platform. I don't have anything really to compare it to. This one has a pivot on it here, and it'll allow you to pivot, you know, back and forth like this, a little bit to left and right, and here, down here is your adjustment, which you've got to keep tight. I don't know how I feel about that feature. I can tell you this much. I like a bipod better than a bench rest for a gun like this. I truly do. I tried this with a bench rest. I own a bench rest. I like a bench rest when I'm using my Mossberg. I have a 590A1 that I will be doing a video on because I completely tricked that one out too. But anyway, that's what I put on the front of this, and it's a good bipod. Since we're up here on the front, let's talk about something I'm not fond of. It's okay, and that's this. It's very light. There's nothing touching the barrel, which is great. This comes off very easily by just pushing the pin out, and this just slides forward, comes right off very easily. It makes it easy to work on the piston, to take the piston off to clean it. It makes it easy to change the barrels because the barrels on this are interchangeable with the, I don't know whether they've got it out or not, 7.62 by 39 and the 5.56. Why don't I like it? Well, I'm a polymer fan. This has sharp edges. It feels okay, but it's cold, it's metal, it's aluminum. I don't know if it's more durable than the polymer. It's very light, but I'm not sure it's lighter than the polymer. But overall, it's okay. I'm hoping that someday Magpul will change out and make a foregrip for this that is polymer. I'd like to get it in flat dark earth to match my trigger. Or not my trigger, my pistol grip. But now we've gone to the front end of the gun. Now let's go right here and we'll talk about magazines. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, on the right is your standard 30 round magazine that comes with the gun. And I think the company is OK Incorporated. I can't really tell right now in this light. Maybe you can tell. But this is the 30 round mag that comes with the gun itself. It's your standard 30 round M16 mag. Not a fan. I wasn't a fan with it when I was on active duty. I'm not a fan of it now. It works. It's functional, but I don't care for it. I'm a big fan of the Magpul PMags. This is a 20 round mag. I have 30 and 10s. I'm going to get a 40 just to have a 40. I prefer the shorter mags for precision shooting. And I'm a real big fan of these particular magazines. One of the features that I'll show you about the mags as we go down the gun is on the buttstock of this, and why I have the particular buttstock, which you might have noticed is not the standard buttstock for this gun. Okay, I'm not doing you any favor because I can't offhand remember what the particular model of this stock is. It says on it, it is an M-BMP PR15/M16 is what it says on the side of it. Now, one of the big features that everybody really likes about that skeletonized stock is the fact that it folds. Okay, well, this one compresses, and guess what, people? This one folds too, just like that one does. Is it a little thicker? Not significantly, and it fits just fine. You can fold it up just like you can the skeletonized one, and this one here you can extend out to whatever length you need it to be. My personal choice is 1, 2, right there is where I like to have it when I'm shooting. Now Now this also has a feature. Now I'm going to tell you what I really was going to do. I was actually going to buy this and put a Magpul on here because I'm a Magpul fan, as I've already said. But this one has a neat little feature to it, and I'm going to show it to you. That feature is that you can carry an extra magazine back there. And it has a standard magazine release on the left side. Isn't that cool? So, if you are a run and gun kind of guy, that is a pretty neat feature. And just about any mag will fit, as we will show you. That's the one that comes with a gun, 30 round. No issues at all. Fits in there just fine, and it falls just like the other one does. So that's one of the neat features of this particular stock that I really like. That and the fact that it's just as collapsible as the skeletonized one, and it's really, to me, it really improved the weapon for the purposes for which I'm using it for. I really highly recommend, this stock. Again, not cheap. Nothing I did to this gun was cheap. Okay, we're on top of the gun now, and I'm showing you, and I'm going to put this in front because it's a little easier to see. This is what I have on this weapon. It is a Nikon P300 BLK rifle scope, 2x7 by 32, and it's designed for 300 blackout. It's designed for that round. The rectile in there is graduated, and it has some very good graduations, and depending on how you sight it, it's marked off for different distances. Now, one of the things that I've learned about 300 blackout, even though I'm trying to shoot it as accurately as I can from as long a distance as possible, as quietly as possible, this gun is not really designed for a long distance shoot. It is not a 338 Lapua. It's not a 50 cal. And there are a couple of videos out there that talk about distance, but at 450 meters, this thing will drop 8 feet. We're not talking 8 inches. It drops 8 feet. So that's quite a correction that you have to make if you're going to be shooting long distance. And I actually saw a guy shoot one out to 1,000 meters, but we're talking over a 16-foot drop. I checked the math to make sure I wasn't going insane, and 16 feet is what that bullet will drop in 1,000 meters. So this is not a long-range gun, not by any stretch of the imagination. Right now, the only thing I've been able to shoot it on, and I will confess this, is on an indoor 100-yard range, and I'm just trying to get it into as small groups as possible. I was using, I don't know, I wish I knew the ballistics of the ammunition I was using. It's MAST ammo, M-A-S-T Technologies. It's 147 grain full metal jacket, but I have no idea what the muzzle energy on it is or what its foot pounds were. I would really like to know that. It fired well. Out of 500 rounds, I had not a single error, and the bolt always locked back, so that was really good. Let's go back to the scope. One of the things I'll talk about the scope, you'll notice on this gun, something's missing. The original sights are gone. And the reason why the original sights are gone on this gun is because with this particular mount, which is a Nikon M223, the mounting bracket is a little too low for those sights. And basically you'll see where it is for me. I have this stock out to where I like to have it when I'm shooting, and I've adjusted everything for that length, and when I do, you can see where this sets, and it would set right over the top of the rear sight if I had one on there, which I don't. Again, my POU is to shoot targets very accurately at as long a distance as possible, as quietly as possible. So given that being this gun's particular purpose, I don't need those sights. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, last but not least, I want to talk about slings. But before I talk about slings, just in case somebody does by chance know what the ballistics on this particular ammunition is, I would love to know it. Yes, part of my hobby of being a target shooter that I am is I keep records. Windage, foot-pounds, you know, what feet per second is, everything. So if anybody by chance knows what the ballistics on this ammunition are, I would love to know it. Thank you. Now, for the last thing. The sling. This is the sling that comes with the gun. This particular one here it's durable, but I'm not a fan. You know, the way it slings here, I mean, you could probably use it as a single point if you needed to. Maybe that's the purpose for the way they made it. I don't know. I mean, I know a couple of people that just absolutely are enamored with it and love it. I'm not a fan. What I chose to go with was the Magpul MS1, and I made it an MS4 by putting this piece in it, so that I can single point sling it if I choose to. Provided I can get it to stay in there like it's supposed to. Anyway, it's not right now. I don't know why it's giving me a rash. There it goes. There it goes. You can single point sling this if you choose to. The big reason why I'm a huge fan of this, and I actually have one of these on my Mossberg too, and if you want to know more about these on a shotgun, then you need to go watch Bang and Twang. Bang and Twang can tell you all about slinging up a home defense shotgun. Bang and Twang was a huge benefit to me, reference to teaching me a lot about things like this. But anyway, the reason why I like it is it comes up real quick. The other thing I really like about this particular system is on this particular gun, you have several places to do a quick mount. You can do it up here, you can do it back here. On this one, it'll go in there. You can put it all the way back here. It's on both sides of the gun. And this I'm not a fan of, but it's what came with the gun. This actually comes with the Sig when you buy it, and it works and it locks in. I just don't particularly care for the angle, because if I'm going to be carrying this, the gun is going to be over here. I'm going to put the sling on the other side, and I would actually like this to be up here, and I can get a quick mount for it that will go into the key lock. I just haven't gotten around to that yet because, like I said, that's not particularly how I use this weapon. But that's why I went with a Magpul, and we'll see if we can get it out of here now. There. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is my MCX. That is the good, the bad, and the changed. I have to tell you, I went with this gun. I went with a gas impingement, or I'm sorry, I went with a gas piston gun over a gas impingement because of the cleanliness. I went with this particular gun because it was specifically designed around the 300 blackout. Did a lot of research on the 300 blackout, and it seems to be the up-and-coming caliber for suppressed close arms, close combat weapons. And it's an excellent caliber. I absolutely love the round. Like I said, I put 500 rounds through it right now. I'm waiting to get more. I don't know what the ballistics were on the massed ammo I just showed you, so I don't know whether or not that was supersonic or subsonic. It doesn't matter. I don't have my suppressor yet, but I do have ammunition coming for it that is both supersonic and subsonic. One of the things I did learn is that not much point in firing a supersonic round through a suppressor, because you're still going to get the crack and it's still going to make lots of noise downrange. But this gun I really like. I went with this because, you know, as I said, I'm a huge Sig fan. It's an incredibly well-made weapon. You can go see the other videos. I don't want to take your time up on telling you what you can find out on other videos about the gun. I just wanted to show you what was different about mine over some of the others that I've seen. I hope that this helps you. I don't have a channel. Don't intend to have a channel. I did this video basically to, you know, be informative and provide some information that I was having a hard time finding when I started this. And through, you know, a lot of research, I was able to find out some things about the gun, about how to change it, and I'm very pleased with the outcome. With the changes I've made, I would recommend this gun to others, but it's not a cheap gun. I got mine through Gun Genie online, and then I got it, and it was actually sold to me by a local gun shop here called Quantico Tactical. And I think that's pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen. If you have any questions, you can post comments in the bottom. I will try to answer them as soon as I know they're there, if there's anything specific that you want to know. Again, I hope the video was helpful, and have a great day. I'm back. There's one more thing I wanted to mention. What am I going to do with this? I'm keeping it because one of my next gun projects is a Sig Sauer MPX. I'm going to buy the pistol version, which is completely legal. However, if I put that on the end of it, what does that make it? It makes it an SBR. I have to have a Form 1. However, I will one day put in the Form 1 after I'm able to buy the gun, and I'm going to make it an SBR with this. The suppressors, by the way, I have 9mm and 7.62 suppressors coming, and so the MPX will be able to be suppressed, and with this it'll be quite the little weapon. What am I going to do with it? I'm going to kill paper and steal targets very quietly and as accurately as possible. Have a great day.